My dear friends, I'm super excited to be here with you today in these turbulent times. Whether you're at the end of the year or beginning of the year, we are starting or heading into a new decade. And it happens every now and then, but I talk about this because we go through quite through turbulent times, which means economy is declining or slowing down, prices are increasing. We have also war in Europe. For some of you, your family members might be entangled in that, or your job might be insecure, or you might be going through some stress. Even if we remove all of this external pressure, you might go through stress because you are sick or you just caught COVID. There are a lot of factors now that actually make us adjust. We also here in Europe and probably in other parts of the world in winter times, which often brings with it its other challenges. We tend to feel a little bit maybe more depressed, more sad, or we feel like we need to sleep more. I definitely see that need. And that's something I haven't been paying attention in the earlier years, and I just thought you got to grind it on. But I don't think that's always the best approach. I think older I get, I figure out, hey, we play the long game. We got enough time, and with enough time, it doesn't mean we're gonna slack. And maybe sometimes, but there is a difference between strategic slacking when, like on weekend, I know on Saturday evening, I'm watching or Sunday evening I'm watching movie with my girlfriend or a series, and I know that that evening is blocked just to do nothing, to disconnect, or we go to sauna, or we travel somewhere, we see something, we meet friends. And non-strategic slacking is when, which I just realized I did today, when I go on Instagram and I just scroll and scroll and scroll, and suddenly you're 5 minutes in and you're like, hey, I can keep scrolling. So I want you to really think about this. Where are you now? What period of life also are you in? Are you kind of in an explorer phase, like Mackenzie talks about this, when you're trying to figure out where you're gonna go, what's the next stage for you, and how you're gonna get there. And then there is this other side when maybe like myself, you're getting in a builder stage. You have explored a lot of ideas. You've tried a lot of ideas in the last decade. And you feel like, hey, it's time for me actually to zero in on something and build that, make that my thing, make it better. And whatever spectrum you are at, I just want to tell you, don't beat yourself up, because if you're here and listening to this, mostly like myself, you tend to be harsh on yourself. You're like, why I don't have this, why I don't have that, and why is it going so slow, and I wish things would be like this. And often when I talk about it or talk to myself like this, I remind myself, perhaps I haven't done enough, and perhaps I need to take, even if I have done enough, perhaps I need to just play a little bit longer. A lot of things in my life that now start to mature, and I see, for example, my physique, which is different than it was, maybe 7, 8 years ago. And it's due or in favor of the consistency, because I have put in those reps, because I'm putting those reps every day. And I know I have my daily schedule, I have my weekly schedule, and I know where I'm moving with my physique over a period of time. The same coin, if you will, and the same approach I'm having for my life as well in different areas. I have my 5 life goals. I know that it has to do something with financial abundance. It has to do with being a resilient leader, and it has to do something with my business skills, being a skilled business owner, and also it has to do a lot with how I present myself as a human being. So whether I display all these virtues and values we're gonna talk about, kindness, empathy, high performance, passion, enthusiasm, all these traits that connect us as human beings. And if you're here, you're probably looking for the quick pill sometimes. Maybe not always. Maybe you just were curious and the title was interesting for you, because I know it's about mastering your life, mastering your mind, and mastering your body. And I have written this ebook or book, if you will, a while back. And it's really about how to radiate energy or joy, manage diseases, and lead a fun or fun life. And I think that's why I'm saying this, because this is edition. I think it's from, now I don't even know, but I think it's like 3 years old, if you will, maybe 4. And I actually re-edited this book, and I'm publishing it as a part of a course that I'm launching as well in 2023, which is under the same title and is focused a lot on personal leadership. So I added some things and made it more colorful, etc. But it really, when I was writing this, I was writing it with the universal principles in mind. I love principles, I love values, and I love working on something that really I have done. Not things that I have read somewhere and just combine together and try to be smart. As I wanted to say, pardon my language, but I just really, and also it doesn't mean that I have all figured out. I play the long game, as I said. I know that if I'm creating something now, that it will probably need a ripple effect to make the impact on that level that I want to do. But I can start now. I can practice now. I can talk to you even virtually now. Wherever you're watching this video, you might feel my energy, you might feel my passion, my enthusiasm. Maybe it will touch you. And this is my hope for this video. It will inspire you into action. It will inspire you to build your own blueprint, how you want to run your life. And also be strategic, stepping back. And this is, before we do this, I want you to really step back and think, okay, where I am now in my life. Like this study from McKinsey, whether you're in, explorer stage, builder stage, think about it. What stage are you at? Are you, just starting out? Are you need to do your college or just study, or are you getting kids soon? Or are you having kids already and you just feel, the world is falling on your head and it's been quite mad at work and you don't know if you like your boss and you're trying to figure it out. And if you're here and if all of this is going on for you, I want to praise you. I want you to pat yourself on the shoulder. You are good enough. You need to give yourself some slack and cut yourself some slack and love yourself a little bit. This is what I practiced for the last years. When I really look in the mirror in the morning and I say, hey, you know what, man? I love you. I commit to you and I forgive you for all your shortcomings. And when I say that, I know that I'm doing my best at this stage. Doesn't mean tomorrow, doesn't mean 10 years, in the history or 10 years in advance. Because what I know now is based on what I have learned until now. And I'm doing my best. And it's also this conscious thought that I'm actually putting the action there each and every day, even if it's just fumbling around, instead of watching Netflix, instead of, hanging out, taking drugs, and doing stuff that is unproductive. I'm choosing to do this video, and probably you do the same in your free time and in things, and maybe period where things are difficult, you choose to step back and say, hey, maybe I need to study up a little bit here on this topic. So personal development, if you choose that, you're a long-term winner. If you choose to give and be a giver instead of a taker, you're a long-term winner. You don't always see the results immediately. The same with physique and fitness. If you decide to move more in your life and be healthy, of course you see it quite fast. But with your body, I can tell you, because I come from bodybuilding, and I will just jump in an ebook real quick and give you the story there. I used to be very scrawny and I wasn't always having the energy. I was sick very often, I had gut problems, and I remember when I was maybe 10 or 8, I was in a hospital for an entire month with lung infection. And I also remember I was quite naughty back then, maybe because I was irritated from the infection, and even my mom eventually left me there, I think 1 or 2 weeks alone. And it was scary to be there alone. Also, when I was probably 1 or 2 years old, I think 1, doesn't matter, it's quite irrelevant. I was just thinking, did I give you the right facts? But my parents were in a car accident and got hit by a guy who was drunk and pushed them off the hill. The car rolled down a couple times and then ended, you know, down. My aunt was there, my mom was there, I was there, my dad was there, and it was this Volkswagen Bug, really small car. So we climbed. Well, I didn't climb because I was small, but they pulled me out of the car. My mom running around on, you know, without shoes, and my leg was broken. My leg was broken, and they had to bring me to the hospital. And also because I was so small, again, I don't remember all the details, but I was there left alone for a period of time, and because they couldn't stay with me apparently. So I went through a lot of these, and why I'm saying it because I want you to think of these stories that, or maybe experiences you went through yourself that actually prompt you to become who you are today. And again, if you were a kid, probably like I was, you don't think about it so consciously, but somewhere subconsciously, you're storing all the experiences, maybe the anxiety, the insecurity, the stress, and it's building up. And now, in the coming years, going back to the beginning of this little session together, we will need to be more resilient. We will need to be stronger, faster, healthier if we want to survive. It's not always that, you know, the fittest will survive, but in this case, if you look, we live in a sophisticated society. You probably don't have to, you know, fend your own meat from the tree or from the bear. But if you think about it, if you don't have big wallet to cover your family's needs, you will struggle and you will have inherently the stress. And maybe you are in a third world country or developing country where it's more difficult. Even in Europe, in Eastern Europe particularly, where I come from, I can see it really clearly that even my own family in some parts are struggling just because the prices are increasing, salaries are not increasing, and a lot of these basic needs that cannot be met, people try to save money here, there, but it creates a lot of psychological trauma. And of course, human beings can adapt to anything. You know, we have one another, we can take care of one another. But that's also why I'm creating this video for you, because with this in mind, that the next 10 years, even whether that's social, global warming, wars, and all these different things, we don't know what tomorrow is gonna bring. That shouldn't put us back on the couch in front of Netflix, sitting whole day in front of Netflix and be like, you know, I don't know anyway what tomorrow will bring and what will happen. I don't need to do anything. I will just hope for the best. You know, the saying, hope is not a strategy. And that's why we need strategy, principles. I'm not a guru, but going back to the story that I wanted to share with you, you know, a couple of years back, I met my fiance, and I met her actually through, not even through, but through my own experience of bodybuilding. As I said, when I was a kid, I grew up on a farm and I was quite scrawny, weak, miserable, always a little bit struggling with my weight. And it's not like I was paying attention to it, but maybe genetically I was just like this long, tall, you know, skinny kid. And the challenge was there that often people use that, they maybe not because even that I was skinny, but I was bullied as well, which didn't add to the happiness that I tried to find. And on the top of that, we were living in a depressed town, so there were like a smaller villages surrounding the quite small village where we lived, which, you know, where people who were quite poor. I remember even a classmate who were coming to school didn't have food and was eating onion for, you know, lunch. And a lot of these people were, you know, poor gypsies, and it marked my childhood really deliberately. So as I was getting older, I decided, hey, I want to work out. I want to be bigger, because on one side I was bullied, and, you know, this kind of anger built in me over the years, and I wanted to pay these people back. And I wasn't a guy that I would go there, you know, and do something naughty and, you know, threw a stone at the window or whatever you say, but I just felt like I want to prove myself that I can do it. And I turned inward and I started working on myself. I started spending time with myself in solitude, but I also started working out. So I did a lot of body weight stuff, and I worked around the house. I was cutting wood. I was, when we were rebuilding, carrying 10, 20 kilo uh, heavy buckets and whole day long, cutting grass, doing heavy stuff. So I was getting stronger. At least strength was increasing. Physically, more muscles, maybe, perhaps. But then eventually I moved abroad to the West, and I decided I will start going to the gym and I will start lifting weights. And I was blown away. The first time I went to the gym and I looked around and I saw those buffed dudes, and I thought, damn, this is me. I want to be like that. And of course, back then, I was also a bit naive because I didn't know that some of them were taking steroids, which obviously wasn't the route I wanted to take. I wanted just to be bigger, be stronger. But I started lifting and then eventually made friends, and we started training together, and I put on weight. And when I was starting out, I had between 60, 65 kilos. So maybe, don't know exactly what is it in pounds. Maybe I was writing about it here. 25, no, didn't. Anyways, but I gained, that's what I have written here. I have gained in that time about 25 kilo since maybe 2009 whatever until 2017, so in a couple of years, about 25 kilos, so 55 pounds. And it's been a heavy process. It's been a lot of testing, supplementation, a lot of food, a lot of training, and in this period of time I developed a lot mindset around being diligent, being consistent. Obviously didn't struggle with this because this is what I built as a kid, because every summer we had to cut wood, a lot of wood, and then bring it inside so we have enough for the fireplace and to form the house for the entire winter, and store it, stack it, etc., etc. So, but bodybuilding particularly and working out just brought some amazing benefits into my life. Now when I'm looking at it, and this is the pinnacle also what I want to talk about. In 2017, I decided to compete in pro bodybuilding. So the picture here, you see a little bit in the back. I know it's a little bit unclear, but it was before my competition, if I'm not mistaken, or perhaps just right after, when we were with my girlfriend in Philippines. So I think it's just right after. And I, was competing in the Netherlands and in the IBFF competition, which is kind of the highest competition for pro bodybuilding. And I didn't win, unfortunately, but it was such an amazing experience because you're standing there and you know that you have put everything forward, your best foot forward. Even though I made mistakes and I didn't win, I was very proud of myself, and I got even a little trophy, which I then later gave to my little brother. And who knows, perhaps now, because I see now he's competing in cross mountain biking and racing and with his bike, maybe it inspired him. But that's getting a little bit off the point. But this particular experience brought amazing benefits into my life. So I really, in terms of mindset, in terms of resilience, a lot of the stuff that I'm talking in this ebook is about resilience. It's really about how to be strong and how to overcome anything that comes your way. And that's what I learned in Eastern Europe. That's what I learned in my life, being this human being who never gives up, this human being who always finds a way. And in this book, and I'm gonna go shortly into it, and if you are interested, I'm more than happy to send you as a gift as well this ebook, Mastering Body, Mind and Life, the newer one, where you can look at it and really study it. And I just adjusted some of these things and some of these chapters, but pretty much it's about chapters that are about the physical health. So as I mentioned at the start, if we dive briefly into it, and why I'm telling you this before we dive into it, I really want you to have epic year, whether that's end of the year, but also just the whole new year and the next decade. I want you to think 10 years ahead. Why I want that? Because I have made a mistake and it's okay. Now I understand it, because I was in a period where I didn't think 10 years ahead. I was thinking right now, right here, I need to survive. And that's the challenge. We are in a period where a lot of people will get sidetracked. They will get scared. Just like Warren Buffett. When everybody sits on their investment, he's investing because he knows now is the right time. But he's also so wise enough because he plays the long game and he knows, okay, maybe I will wait 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years and then I put everything on this little company, whatever that is, and he invests it all in there. And I want you to be like that. I want you to start thinking more in terms of investing rather than trading. For those folks out there who are traders, I praise you, I appreciate you. Also for investors, I tried trading and I gave it up really quick because I figured this is not me. I'm an investor. I play the long game. I'm a strategist. I don't like to, I don't like the volatility of up, down, when you sell, when you buy. But I figured that it's very amazing to master this particular example of thinking long term. So when you're starting now and looking into the principles, look first what governing principles are running your life, and especially compare it with what we're going to be talking about. I don't want to spend too long time on this because I'm kind of rumbling along, but starting with the physical health, I want you to really think about how you think about physical health and what you do about it. It's really like here, for example, I talk about, cold showers. And one thing that actually I figured, it works for me. As a kid, even my fiance, she was showered, like myself, with cold water. You could think, wow, that's, you don't do that when you're a parent. And I agree. But on the other hand, I now actually like to shower cold. And it is part of the resilience. And if you're interested in this topic, please reach out. So I'm just gonna read really quickly and sporadically from this how I structured it. So I'm saying that really life will give you what you ask of it. So at least you need to be thinking what you're asking. And here I say, I've been skinny a lot of the times, weak and scrawny. I hated my body, and I really struggle because other people were saying, and laughing. I even remember my aunt who was saying, oh, you should put on weight. And, we don't have the best relationship today, but I learned from her. I learned a lot from her. And this is what I want to say. Your body, often, there are so many things like what we hear from our parents, whether you're female. I've seen it in a family with some family members who really struggle until today. And we all do. We have some way we look at in the mirror in our body, and we are like, oh, I'm too skinny, I'm too fat, I am this, I'm that. I want you to really embrace that, and not because you are bad or you're good, or whether being fit is good or being skinny is good. I want you to find your own way and embrace it and say, I love myself as I am. And building muscle, I talk about it, I talk about life, I talk about purpose, and that's really kind of the core of the manifesto, why you do everything. So here you can see, I know this is a little bit maybe unclear again, like when I was competing with my trophy, and I'm talking about, let's go on a journey. So the first principle I talk about here, it's working out often, be consistent, make sure that really there are no secrets. I'm talking about here when I went to the gym 7 times a week, and which I don't do now, to be honest. I do every day, probably besides Sunday, sometimes I even skip Saturday, but 5 times a week I'm probably working out, where this always was my advice. Go at least, and maybe if you don't want to work out, do some type of movement, yoga. And this is also why I edited the ebook, because this is really heavily focused on bodybuilding or kind of working out in the gym. But I know a lot of you maybe do calisthenics, or you do yoga, or you do maybe walking or running, whatever that is, do it. But one thing that I want to stress here, muscle tissue is very amazing health protector and body protector. So and that's the challenge with running, you're probably not going to build so much muscle unless on your legs, but not so much on the rest of your body. As you get older, muscle diminishes, which means you're more prone to injuries. So that's why I'm working out, because I know you need all these different things, not just running, not just energy, but you need also the physical muscle. And if you are lean, if you want to be lean, that's also one way how you can get very lean. So I'm talking a little bit about a competition. Then as a second principle, I talk about that your health is as strong as your immune system. Again, I edited it here a little bit, and here I talk a lot about the gut, but in general, I talk a lot about liver and how detoxification is very key for your health. But here, in this sense, I want you to think in the coming years, hey, can I really zero in on my gut? Can I focus on my gut? Can I improve it? Which means, eating whole foods, making sure that you purchase probiotics. This is amazing. And also, one talking about a detox, include sauna. I think I included it here. Yes, I include here as well. Go to sauna if you can. Go to sauna. Make sure you have the supplements that you need, whether that's organic. Obviously, get everything from vegetables. But if you need, and often people need, go to a doctor, make a blood test. I just did it recently, so you see what vitamins you're missing. Juicing is amazing. I'm just supplementing my whole food kind of eating and nutrition with celery juice. So celery is amazing. If you haven't heard about it, please look at it. Then I'm talking about power of goals. I know, again, sorry for the so why I'm talking about goals, because in coming years, if you're not working, and I mentioned the top 5 goals, if you don't have your top 5 goals for the life, you're always gonna work for somebody else. And the thing is, what I really figure out in the 20 years in corporate and working for different companies, and recently for marketing agency for about 2.5 and something years, is that you need to work on your goals. There is always, you're gonna be always unhappy because it's never gonna be perfect. And I come from a line of entrepreneurs. My dad actually is not an entrepreneur, but my stepmom is. My grandfather was also, very entrepreneurial. And I feel like if I'm not working on my stuff, if I'm not shooting this video, I feel unproductive. I feel like I'm wasting my time. So think about your goals. I'm talking here really simple. Visualize your goals, what you want to accomplish, set your goals, and then put your mind to work. Really think about it, how you're going to achieve it. As the next thing, I talk about taking care of yourself, which is really positivity. So again, I renamed it, but here, this picture up here, it's from Philippines. And I think wellness, especially in traveling, can be amazingly beneficial for your health and for your well-being. So if you're interested in this, please reach out. You can reach out to my fiancée. She's a big traveler. I'm trying to go along, but I really learned a lot through her and how to think about happiness. And there is a great book, if you want to read, from Barbara Fredrickson, Positivity, and she actually explains the impact of positivity on our life. So please think positive thoughts. Not just that, but really train yourself to focus on positivity in the times that are coming. Then I want you to focus on your superpower. What I mean with superpower is really what you're good at, and double down on that. If you had 1 month, no work, and you can do whatever you want, just like I'm doing now, have a month off, what are you doing? Are you working on the videos? Are you working on things that matter to you, which for me is really educating other people, talking to camera, rumbling and mumbling? What is it for you? Do you read? Do you, go snowboarding? Do that and make it your life's mission. Then I want you really to focus, as a principle number 7, on reading. There are different opinions. I think Simon Sinek, I heard it recently, that he doesn't read at all. He meets with people. So this is my takeaway, and I always believe that leaders are readers. So if you read, you need to know a lot of stuff, and more stuff you read, more dots you can connect. Better human being you are. So again, don't overdo it, but I remember 2017 when I competed, I decided to read about 100 books, and I was reading everywhere I could. But now, for example, I decided to read only few books during the year, but deeper. I'm rereading the Everyday Hero Manifesto now for the 3rd time from Robin Sharma. And every time I find some new nuggets there, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. So, there are different approaches to get to your goal. The next chapter, and I talk about it a little bit, and you can see my fiancée here, is travel frequently. Every month should be a little gateway for you. It doesn't have to be flying to Philippines. If you're living nearby, I mean, it's probably very easy, not for me from Europe, but traveling a little bit will open up your horizons, meet new cultures, and you will become empathetic and also very sensitive and kind. Because a lot of people nowadays, I feel, here in the West especially, are so on their in their own world and like me, and I'm important, and they forget that we are part of 8 billion people on a planet. Then I would like you to really think about what do you do to inspire other people. And again, this is a bit older, so I apologize, but I just wanted to say and give you these principles for the new year as you're going. What do you do day to day? It doesn't have to be big, but do you help somebody? Do you let somebody in a queue? You let them in front of you, or you help somebody when you see that they drop something on a road. How do you do it? Are you having your inspiration? Because when we give to other people, we will feel inspired. And then also, one thing that I want to talk about is really making a difference. When you make a difference in other people's life, and I talk about in this a lot in this about kindness and being kind to yourself first and then to other people. When you're kind, you can really feel happy and you will feel like you're doing and making a difference. So my friends, I know it's a lot and I'm mumbling and rumbling a lot along, but I hope this gives you a little tiny blueprint of strategies you can include in your life a little more. And again, think about things that you can do more than less. So it's better doing 3 things all the way than doing 10 things and doing it halfway. So better start working out and make your body your masterpiece in the coming years. Start, taking over your body. Start taking care of your mind, your positive thoughts, and make sure you're reading. And let's say, okay, next year I will implement this. Maybe you're doing all of this. So how can you implement all of these things a bit better? How can you improve a bit better? How can you zero in the skills you will learn? So guys, I want to finish with this. Years ago, I was skinny, as I told you, and I struggled. And when I went to moved to the West, I really didn't know when to start, or when I knew now, but I didn't know how to start. It was a lot, and I was scared. But I did it anyway. I decided that I will move to the West. And that prompted me to live in 4 different countries since then, and learn a lot about myself. I learned about other people, but I learned one thing: you need to take action, despite if it's uncomfortable. You need to find solutions when things go sideways, and you need to find this inner strength in you to never give up. So I want to encourage you guys to be really doing what you promise yourself. Think who you want to become in the next 10 years. Then think of the version you want to be, and then look back and then think, how do I make it happen? I see that beautiful Matteo, Maria, Thomas, whatever your name is, and think, or maybe you can even give a different name or same name to the better version and say, hey, how can I be that, become that? So when you are there 10 years and you're looking at that version, you are that, you're making that happen. Surprise yourself and take care of yourself. And lastly, have fun. Have fun, have fun, and have fun. Without fun, without smiling, without positivity, being too serious, it won't work. I was too serious in my career, and I think I should just have more fun. Enjoy it and do less than doing too much. Stay positive, be awesome, and take care of yourself.